Welcome to Torah Truth for Us with Linda. The Epistle of James, Yaakov. Chapter 1. Yaakov, a bondservant of Yehovah and of Adonai Yeshua Messiah, to the 12 tribes who are in the dispersion, greetings. Consider it all joy, my brethren, when you fall into various temptations, knowing that the proving of your faith works patience. And let enduring patience have its perfect result, that you be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. But if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of Yehovah, who gives to all men generously and does not reproach, and it will be given to him. Let him ask in faith, doubting nothing, for the one who doubts is like the raging wave of the sea, driven by the wind and tossed. For let not that man suppose that he will receive anything from Elohim, a double-minded man, unstable in his ways. But let the brother of humble circumstances glory in high position, and let the rich man in his humiliation, because like the flower of the grass, he will pass away. For as the sun rises with a scorching wind and withers the grass, and its flower falls off, and the beauty of its appearance is destroyed, so too the rich man in the midst of his pursuits will fade away. Blessed is the man who endures temptation, for when he is tried, he will receive the crown of life which the Master has promised to those who love him. Let no one say when he is tempted, I am being tempted by Elohim. For Yehovah cannot be tempted by evil, and he himself does not tempt anyone. But each one is tempted when he is carried away and enticed by his own lust. Then, being conceived, lust brings forth sin, and sin, being fully formed, brings forth death. Do not go astray, my beloved brethren. Every good thing bestowed and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shifting shadow. Having purposed, he brought us forth by the word of truth, so that we might be, as it were, a certain first fruits among his creatures. This you know, my beloved brethren, let every man be slow to speak, and swift to hear, and slow to wrath. For the wrath of man does not achieve the righteousness of Yehovah. On account of this, putting aside all filthiness and overflowing of evil, in meekness receive the word implanted, which is able to save your souls. But become doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. For if anyone is a hearer of the word, and not a doer, he is like a man who looks at his natural face in the mirror. For once he has looked at himself and gone away, he has immediately forgotten what kind of person he was. But one who looks intently on the perfect law of liberty, and abides by it, not having become a forgetful hearer, but an effectual doer, this man shall be blessed in his doings. If anyone thinks himself to be religious, and yet does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his own heart, this man's religion is in vain. Clean and undefiled religion before Elohim and Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their affliction, and to keep oneself unstained from the world. Chapter 2. My brethren, do not hold our faith in our glorious Adonai Yeshua Messiah with partiality of persons. For if a gold-fingered man comes into your synagogue, dressed in splendid clothing, and there also comes in a poor man in shabby clothes, and you pay special attention to the one who is wearing the fine clothes, and say, "You sit here in a good place," and you say to the poor man, "You stand over there or sit down by my footstool," have you not made distinctions among yourselves and become judges with evil reasonings? Listen, my beloved brethren. Did not Yehovah choose the poor of this world to be rich in faith and heirs of the kingdom which he promised to those who love him? But you have dishonored the poor man. Is it not the rich who oppress you and personally drag you into the courts? Do they not blaspheme the fair name by which you have been called? If, however, you truly fulfill the royal law, according to the Scriptures, you shall love your neighbor as yourself, you are doing well. But if you have partiality to persons, you work sin, having been found guilty as transgressors by the law. For whoever keeps all the law and yet stumbles in one, he has become guilty of all. For he who said, "Do not commit adultery," also said, "Do not commit murder." Now, if you do not commit adultery, but do commit murder, you have become a transgressor of the law. So speak and so act as those who are to be judged by the law of liberty, for judgment will be without mercy to the one not doing mercy, and mercy exalts over judgment. What is the gain, my brothers, if a man says he has faith, but he does not have works? Can that faith save him? If a brother or a sister is without clothing and in need of daily food, and one of you says to them, "Go in peace, be warmed and be filled," and yet you do not give them what is necessary for their body, what use is that? Even so, faith, if it has no works, by itself is dead. But someone may say, "You have faith and I have works." Show me your faith without the works, and I will show you my faith by my works. You believe that Yehovah is one. You do well. The demons also believe and shudder. But are you willing to know, O vain man, that faith apart from works is dead? Was not Abraham, our father, justified by works when he offered up Isaac his son on the altar? You see that faith was working with his works, and by the deeds of his works, faith was perfected. And the scripture was fulfilled which says, "And Abraham believed Jehovah, and it was reckoned to him as righteousness. And he was called the friend of Elohim." You see, a man is justified by works and not by faith alone. And in the same way, was not Rahab the harlot also justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them out by another way? For just as the body without spirit is dead, so also faith without works is dead. Chapter 3. Let not many become teachers, my brethren, knowing that as such we shall receive greater judgment. For we all stumble in many ways. If anyone does not stumble in word, this one is a mature man, able also to bridle the whole body. Now, if we put the bits into the horse's mouth so that they obey us, we direct their entire body as well. Behold, the ships also, though they are so great and are driven by the strong winds, are also directed by a very small rudder wherever the inclination of the one steering purposes. So also, the tongue is a small part of the body and boasts great things. Behold how great a forest is set aflame by such a small fire. And the tongue is a fire, the world of iniquity. The tongue is set among our members as that which defiles the entire body, and sets on fire the course of life, of nature, and of having seen inflamed by hell. For every species of beasts and birds, of creeping things and creatures of the sea is tamed, and has been tamed by the human species. But no man can tame the tongue, a restless evil, full of deadly poison. With it we bless the Master and Father, and with it we curse men, who have been made in the likeness of Elohim. From the same mouth come blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not to be this way. Does a fountain send out from the same opening fresh and bitter? My brothers, can a fig tree produce olives, or a vine produce figs? Neither salt water produce fresh. Who among you is wise and understanding? Let him show his works by good behavior in meekness of wisdom. But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your heart, do not be arrogant and strife against the truth. This wisdom is not that which comes from above, but is earthly, beastly, demonic. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there is disorder and every living thing. But the wisdom from above is firstly pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, not partial, and without hypocrisy. And the seed whose fruit of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. Chapter 4. From where do wars and fightings among you come? Is not the source your lusts that wage war in your members? You lust and you do not have. You commit murder, and you are jealous and cannot obtain. You fight and quarrel. You do not have because you do not ask. You ask and do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, so that you may spend on your own pleasures. You adulteresses, do you not know that friendship with the world is hostility toward Yehovah? Therefore, whoever wishes to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of Yehovah. Or do you think that the Scripture speaks to no purpose? The Spirit which He has made to dwell in us jealously desires us, but He gives a greater grace. Because of this, it says, Yehovah is opposed to the proud, yet gives grace to the humble. Submit, therefore, to Elohim. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw near to Yehovah, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you doubters. Be distressed and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned into mourning and your joy to gloom. Humble yourselves in the presence of the Master, and he will exalt you. Do not speak against another brethren. He who speaks against his brother or judges his brother speaks against the law and judges the law. But if you judge the law, you are not a doer of the law, but a judge. One is the lawgiver, who is able to save and to destroy. But who are you to judge your neighbor? Come now, You who say today or tomorrow we will go to such and such a city and spend a year there and engage in business and make a profit. Yet you do not know what your life will be like tomorrow. You are a vapor that appears for a little while and then vanishes away. Instead, you ought to say, if Yehovah Elohim wills, we shall live and also do this or that. But as it is, you boast in your pretensions. All such boasting is evil. Therefore, to one who knows the right thing to do and does not do it, to him it is sin. Chapter 5. Come now, rich ones, weep and howl for your miseries which are coming upon you. Your riches have rotted, and your garments have become moth-eaten. Your gold and your silver have rusted, and your rust will be a witness against you, and will consume your flesh like fire. It is in the last days that you have stored up your treasure. Behold, the pay of the laborers who made your fields, which has been withheld by you, cries out, and the outcry of those who did the harvesting has reached the ears of Yehovah Sabaoth. You have lived luxuriously on the earth and led a life of wanton pleasure. You have fattened your hearts in a day of slaughter. You have condemned and put to death the righteous. He does not resist you. Be patient, therefore, brethren, until the coming of the Master. Behold, the farmer waits for the precious produce of the soil, being long-suffering about it, until it receives the early and the latter rains. You too, be patient. Strengthen your hearts, for the coming of the Master is at hand. Do not complain, brethren, against one another, that you yourselves may not be judged. Behold, the judge is standing before the doors. As an example, brethren, of suffering and patience, take the prophets who spoke in the name of Yehovah. Behold, we count those blessed who endured. You have heard of endurance of Job, and saw the end of Yehovah, that Yehovah is full of tender mercy and compassion. Above all, my brothers, do not swear, either by the heavens, or by the earth, or with any other oath, but let your yes be yes, and your no be no, so that you may not fall under judgment. Is anyone among you suffering? Let him pray. Is anyone cheerful? Let him sing praises. Is anyone sick? Let him call for the elders of the assembly, and let them pray over him, having anointed with oil in the name of Yehovah, and the prayer offered in faith will cure the one who is sick. And Yehovah will raise him up, and if he has committed sins, they will be forgiven him. Therefore confess your sins one to another, and pray for one another, so that you may be healed. The effective prayer of a righteous man can indeed accomplish much. Elijah was a man with a nature like ours, and he prayed earnestly that it might not rain. And it did not rain on the earth for 3 years and 6 months. And he prayed again, and the heavens poured rain, and the earth produced its fruit. My brethren, if any among you strays from the truth, and one turns him back, let him know that he who turns a sinner from the error of his way will save his soul from death, and will cover a multitude of sins. May Jehovah bless you and keep you. May Jehovah cause his face to shine on you and be gracious to you. May Jehovah bless you and keep you. May Jehovah lift up his countenance on you and give you peace. Yivrecha Yehovah v'yishmerecha, Yair Yehovah panvelecha v'yihunecha. Yisa Yehovah panvelecha v'yasim lecha. Shalom.